just get his corpse onto that. Just getting ready for tomorrow night. You're doing another match tomorrow, Foley, on Raw, by God. Send you out in a wheelchair. So the Undertaker walks off, victorious nonetheless, but that match was, I mean, it was, to watch it back now, mate, I mean, even now, and we've seen a lot of, like, you know, hardcore stuff and things of that nature, but this ranks up there as probably, you know, one of the ones that will stand the test of time for things like this. I'm never sure you're going to get another Mick Foley first and foremost, and I'm never sure you're going to get that kind of where it's not stopped sooner, you know, because nowadays, not this one but the other one, it would have just been stopped. Like, they would have done an angle around it where they could have just stopped it, but this one right here, man, oh man, just to know it wasn't, you know, that gave way. So bad to watch.
Of course, he got to the point as well in Mick Foley's career when he probably got sick of talking about this match.
Yeah.
I think I remember on one of his DVDs he was talking about this, and I think not so long after this he has a match against Kane at Hell in a Cell, and he gets popped off halfway up the cage, and he said that hurt a little more.
So there's thumbtacks stuck into his boot there. Yeah, because I remember when I first saw those thumbtacks, I was like, are they real? Are they not real? You know, I can't work it out, and then I realised they were real because there's a moment where the referee's picking it out of his hand, where he went to do the count, and he's like, ah, shit, and then he's like picking it out of his like damn hand, and like, oh yeah, they're real.
How that hurt?
Yeah. Mick Foley, always the man refusing the stretcher, wants to walk off.
And yep, Sergeant Slaughter there.
Yeah, too right, he gets a clap. Damn. That was just very amazing to watch again as we see these replays. That could always go so wrong, even that. Jerry Lawler twiddling about with one. Where's it down his sleeve? I always used to like the guys that sat behind him doing those stupid faces, and then Jerry Lawler would do that.
It was just so funny.
Maybe that should be Byron Saxton's new gimmick, you know. Do what Jerry Lawler used to do, just try and get involved. He probably can't now, not being that far up. But here's the... Sorry, mate, go on.
I can't believe, looking back on this now, how brutal this was all geared towards, because they knew they were going to do this big Undertaker, and now they've got this match with Austin that's not exactly going to be like all fair. It's going to be a bit violent as well. Yeah. They were really gearing up towards the end of the night to make sure, like, send people home, like, longing for blood.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly not the kid-friendly show that we've become accustomed to at King of the Ring. So yeah, I mean, I'd heard Austin recently on his podcast. He spoke about this match, and he'd said this was a damn nightmare when Kane and Austin were watching that last match on the monitor. They was like, how are we going to follow this? This is the nightmare. So they both knew it was kind of impossible to follow what they'd just seen. But let's face it, Matt, even if you had, you know, I don't know, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar going at it, it would be hard to follow what we just saw. You know,
I think they probably knew it was going to be tough to follow. They just were probably relying on the fact, like, send Austin out there, they'll pop anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So and then we see the Kane and all the stuff going on here with Austin, this feud. I do not remember much of this feud, I have to say. I'm very alien to me right now.
They probably would have been in a lot of trouble if this was any other kind of person in the main event. They really just needed Austin involved in this to actually make sure people weren't like too like out of it at this point. You know, they needed people to keep interested.
Yeah, absolutely. See all the stuff going on the Raw before all this happened. Now you see even Austin getting up there at this point.
This was the cage, wasn't it?
Yeah. I do remember this Raw. I do remember this bit. God, but they look back on that cage and thank their lucky stars he didn't break that night.
Cool, yeah.
Steve Austin,
I mean, even when we saw
top
Undertaker
guy
walking across it and then his leg almost went through it. Imagine if he went through that and broke his ankle.
Yeah. It wouldn't have taken much. Worth pointing out, obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin, the 1996 King of the Ring, main eventing right now, so it's another classic case, just like Brett, when we spoke about his King of the Ring and he ended up main eventing a King of the Ring down the line. Well, Austin, again, it was happening for him.
And I see this is voice box Kane at this time.
Yeah.
He can't talk, or he can barely talk.
Yeah, this is all about... Now, these first blood matches, again, I don't know how many of them there'd been either. Because there was a lot... in the Attitude Era, invented a lot of these new matches. So, although you think, there must have been loads of these by now, they're, that scene there, crazy. There actually probably wasn't. And this might have been one of the first, if not the first. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember one before this.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just got the idea of like thinking, well, what can we do with Austin and Kane? And they must have been looking at that Bret Hart match going, make him bleed.
Yep. See Howard Finkel right there in the middle. The voice. Done that for so many years. That part.
Did you also think that this match was a little bit unfair considering like 90% of Kane is covered up?
Well, I was wondering how are you going to see if Kane's bleeding. How are they going to get round that? Didn't really make any sense to have that stipulation with a guy who's fully dressed. Yeah. Yeah, even both arms were had both sleeves at this point. I loved Kane around this sort of time. He was always very unique and different to me, because the character that was being played here, I enjoyed it quite a lot. For me, liked the whole idea. I think
he looks a lot more menacing here than he ever did in any of his other incarnations. This is just so bizarre, and he just looks uncomfortable in that costume. He's not wearing it for pleasure. He's wearing it. I know it's like part of his character to be suffering.
Yeah. It's like this moment, the fire going down, the original ones.
How hot do you reckon he was in that costume?
Yeah. Gasoline just in case. Now we see the WWF champion about to come out. See this big chant going up for him. That's Vince McMahon all over. Let him wait, and then bang, there comes the music. Without a question, the most over guy probably there ever has been in WWF in a certain time period. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Man, you look at all that signs going up for him. So many people come to see him that night. Straight in. Yeah. Steve Austin. I mean, you talk about a guy that just not only got the ball, but like damn well ran with it every single time he had to produce. This guy did it.
This is a kind of worrying match because you just hit him with 2 clear shots with that title, and that's something that can bust you straight away.
Yeah.
Be so careful.
Removing the turnbuckle there. I think that happened as well before, where they had a match where it was a first blood match, but one of the opponents accidentally started bleeding when they weren't supposed to, and then they tried their best to cover it up, but then it got ridiculous. The fans were starting to get like, it's over, so they ended up having to just say it was over, but it took them ages to go with it. It's like, come on. But obviously it wasn't the winner they wanted, and it only lasted 2 minutes or something like that. So I can't remember what match that was, but watching a thing about it. See, the number 1 fan has got his spot there, Matt. He's like getting right into this one. So,
we're always talking about the Magnificent Sevens. Kane was another one on our list, wasn't he? He was like of the monsters, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was indeed. This would have been around this time. You see Kane lifting up.
Trying for a tombstone.
Yeah,
didn't
really.
get it.
Very fast-paced match so far for these 2 guys.
I used to love it when Kane and Undertaker always used to go over the top rope and always land on their feet. It was so unique at the time.
Yeah.
I don't think you see anyone doing it these days, in fact.
No, I don't think there's anybody that does that, in fact. Unfortunately, for everybody who knows who the person playing Kane, you got that terrible role just before this as the fake Diesel, if you remember.
Yeah.
And that was
the Devil's second favourite Diesel.
Yeah, that was terrible, wasn't it? And the fake Razor Ramon as well, if you remember.
Oh God, yeah.
Don't know what they thought was going to happen with that. Now, I'm noticing the cage is coming back down.
Yeah, who decided this? They're like, I stick him in a cage.
Yeah, it's like, well, we can't climax it on anything else, so we'll give them the cage as well. Someone there.
And they get in a bit of trouble. It's going to land on Austin's head if he moves out of the way.
Man, to be sitting on the front row back then was almost taking a life into your own hands.
Yeah, this cage is still coming down. He's not getting it yet.
Okay, so Kane wants to like almost choke him out here.
Get the cage to land on his head. Oh.
Imagine Vince getting panicky, like, be careful. It's the most top valuable guys out there right now. Imagine seeing him getting injured through this time. Times could have changed, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the one thing with Austin's run as well that people forget, is that he sustained such a consistent high level and yet pretty much stayed so healthy through his sort of big prime run for all of that as well. He between those years of him winning it to probably 99, past 99, he ran hard for like a good sort of 14, 15 months.
That's a good point, actually.
A lot.
Because there's not too many champions over the last 10 years or so that I can think of that have had their time at the top and lasted over a year and not actually sustained an injury through it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially
we've seen multiple injuries, haven't we, with people like John Cena, and of course Seth had his, and Randy Orton. They all have them, but Austin, he said he did keep going hard and actually didn't get injured for quite some time.
We see
Quite an elbow pack got on there though.
Yeah, it is.